Hey, everyone. Selena here, Selena Vaca Crochet. I have a new pattern. It's been out for just a minute, maybe just a couple weeks, not very long, but I have not had a minute to walk you guys through it, talk about it, tell you guys more about it. So that's what I want to do right now. So if you're watching live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. If you're watching on the replay, it's still the same great jam. This pattern is now available, so you can snag it as soon as you see it. And yeah, let me know what you think. All right. Okay. So, first and foremost, the Arrowwood Throw blanket is a throw blanket. First and foremost, could you guys tell? Could you guess? Did you guess that? And this is part of this is a design in a collection of designs that I recently put together that that I made for the home. So I was just really inspired to make things just around the house. I mean, sometimes I kind of, I work things up with a theme, and I was super inspired to work in the home realm. So that's what I did. I used a yarn that I've used in the past for other items, and this is the first time I've made a blanket with this yarn. The yarn that I'm talking about is Lion Brand Hue and Me. This is a bulky weight 5 yarn. It comes in fantastic colors. And when I say fantastic colors, I mean these are not colors that I feel like I'm seeing elsewhere. Um, oh man, I should have pulled up the whole thing. Let's see. Maybe I can pull it up this way. Nope, I should have done it already. Anyway, oh, maybe I could do it. Maybe. Hold on. There it is. I go to it so much that it's already in my Googles. It's already there. I just wanted to show you guys the color since I'm talking about the color so much. So this yarn brand or this yarn line is from Lion Brand Yarn, and it was put together by one of my favorite artists in the yarn world, Two of Wands. If you're not following Two of Wands anywhere, definitely go and check them out. If you've spent more than a day in the crochet or the knit realm, you've probably seen one of their designs because they're just fantastic. They just have this really fantastic style about them. These are all the colors in the Hue and Me line. And this is what I mean. Like they're really fantastically done. I just feel like I'm not seeing these colors anywhere else. These are totally my jam. And what I love about them is that I find a lot of, excuse me, I find a lot of complementary shades. And it was hard to kind of narrow down just a few colors for this Afghan or for anything else. So I hope you feel the same. I highly recommend them. Check it out on the Lion Brand Yarn website, or you can check it out on Ravelry. I love checking out yarn on Ravelry because it gives you all the stats. It tells you where you can get it. And then it also shows you all the different projects that have been made with a yarn. And so you can really get a feel for what a yarn is capable of, how it works up, and what people are making with it, what kind of categories. So, in my opinion, this yarn, Hue and Me, I've made, what can I tell you guys? Let's see. Sometimes I make things and I can't tell you guys about them, but I think the things that I've made with this yarn that I can tell you about are a cardigan. Oh, so nice. Big, plush, cozy. The big and cozy cardigan. I think that's what I named it because, I'm predictable and pretty basic. So again, this yarn works up beautifully for things to wear, and I thought it worked up fantastically as this throw. I've got a little bit here just to show you guys. Again, this is a weight 5 yarn, so it's got some heft to it. It's got some bulk to it, but it's not like so big and so heavy and so bulky that, I wouldn't make a sweater with this. I did. And it's not so big and hefty and heavy that, I feel like, oh man, this is just, some yarns are so thick and so heavy that it's like you kind of go, all right, I feel like I can do these things, but I can't do those things. I don't feel that way about this yarn. This feels very versatile to me. I would make accessories with this. I would make things to wear with this. And I think this throw blanket was just really worked really well with this yarn. So I use the colors, let's see, Whisper, and that's this color right here, this kind of linen type color. It's not white, it's not tan, it's, it's linen. It's beautiful. It's like my sweater. It matches. It matches. I also used Arrowwood. That's where I got the name from. I kind of had trouble naming this thing, so I went to Yarn Color. And mustard. But as you can see here, I mean, you can use, I mean, if you wanted to use the exact same yarn that I did, which I highly recommend, I mean, hopefully you can find some in here that you super love. And you can do complementary colors, colors that, you know, you can do like a light blue, dark blue, or, you know, what I did, a light yellow, dark yellow. You can do that with reds. You can do that with pinks. You can even do contrasting. You could do like a, you know, a yellow and a green, or like a purple and a blue or something. So, what I like about this particular Afghan is that there are three different colors used, but it's so simplistic in the application that you can really have a lot of fun with it. So we'll get to that in just a minute. It looks like some of you guys are here, so I just wanted to say hey, like to Angela. Good to see you here. Angela says nice color combo. Christine says beautiful blanket. Glad you like it. Thank you so much. Christine says those shades are so classic. I feel like people either love or hate these colors. Sometimes people see colors like this, like I love yellows and greens, especially like the really 1960s, like mid-century kind of yellows and greens. I super love those. And some people are like, absolutely not. but, but I really loved them. And I loved them because I thought I picked those colors because I knew where I wanted to take a picture of it. I've got a wall in my house that's it's like turquoisey deep blue, and I kind of lightened it a little bit for this picture. But I love seeing those colors together. I like green and wood and that turquoise color, and I love the yellow with it. So I picked these colors specifically because I felt like they matched my house really nicely. And hopefully you see that and you think, oh, I know how to match that in my house if I want. And it looks like Roxanne is here too. Hey, so good to see you. Okay, so that's the yarn that I used, but I want you to know that what I love about this blanket is that you can substitute the yarn, and it's going to be really easy for you to substitute and make any size you could possibly want. And it's going to be super easy to do. There's not a lot of difficult math or, you know, nothing difficult. There's no worksheets, there's nothing like that. It's a really simplistic pattern, and this Afghan is worked in strips. So this is one strip, this is one strip, one strip. So I made 5 strips. And the fabric measured, was it, I think it was like 9.5 inches. So this was like almost 50 inches wide. And then I think maybe, let's see, 47.5 inches wide and 52 inches tall. So I wanted something that was going to be around 50 by 50. And this is just kind of how it came up for me with this yarn. So I think that it worked out perfect. So if you want to follow the pattern exactly with this yarn, that's about what size throw it's going to make. But if you want to substitute, you want to try a different yarn, you want to make a different size, all you're going to do is choose whatever yarn you're going to choose. I'm going to suggest, if you don't want to do a lot of mathing, you don't want to do a lot of numbers, you don't want to do worksheets and things like that, I would, and especially since it's a blanket, if you want it to be larger, if you want to make kind of something larger than a throw, I would definitely say stick in the weight 4 or the weight 5 category. Stay there. You can always make a really small swatch, just working up the first strip of this pattern, measure that out to see how you like it. See if you like the yarn, see if you like the weight, see if you like how the color is represented in the stitch pattern and all of that. And that's going to be a great place to start. So, you know, that's what I mean by like, stay in that category, stay in that weight category. If you want to venture out, let's say you want to turn this into a baby blanket. Let's say you want to turn this into something much smaller, or you just want to get more creative with size, and you know, you want to venture out and get creative with that. You can absolutely do that. All you're going to do is you choose your yarn, you start making your first strip of fabric, and then just measure that. So however wide your however wide your strip of fabric is, you're going to take that number, because you're going to be, whatever yarn you're using, that's how it's going to measure out. And that's going to help you determine how many of those strips you're going to need to make an entire blanket. So let's say you use a weight 4 yarn and you work this up, and I like nice round numbers, okay? Let's say it is 10 inches in stitch length for your strip. And let's say you want this to be 50 inches wide. Well, 10 divided by 50 is 5. So you need to make 5 different strips. You don't have to have this. I made it an odd number of strips. That was pleasing to my eye. That's how I wanted this to work up. You can have an odd number of strips. You can have an even number of strips. It's entirely up to you. Again, it was pleasing to my eye to have 5, but you do whatever you think looks best. Next, these strips are created in rows. And there are color changes that you're going to do every set number of rows. Again, I like nice round numbers. So you can follow my pattern exactly and change colors exactly as the pattern indicates, or you can make larger blocks of color. You can make smaller blocks of color. Just know that I blocked out these strips of color so that you could see them. You could see the color blocks not only vertically, but you can see it horizontally. So the whole thing doesn't look checkered because they're not perfect squares. I didn't want this to look like a checkerboard of squares. So these are long rectangular strips that are in a checkered pattern. So that was really pleasing to my eye too, because like I said, I didn't want squares, but you can absolutely, it's really easy to change color where you think it's pleasing to your eye. And all you're going to do is at whatever time you change color, let's say you change color at, every 50 rows, I'm going to have 150 rows. So every 50 rows, I'm going to change color. And that way I'm only going to have 3 blocks of color, 50, 50, 50. Then you just do the same thing on the next strip, only it's going to be with different colors. So if you start with color A, B, A, then the next strip is going to be B, A, B. And the pattern does give this information, and that way you can clearly see how the colors are applied. So I'm saying that to say that, again, follow the pattern exactly. If you don't want to, you're just like, I just want to make the thing. I just want it to look like this. I don't want to have to think or, do math or anything like that. It's perfectly suited for you to do that. But it's simple enough that you can just read through the instructions. You can look at the diagram that comes with the pattern. And if you want to make alterations with a different yarn, you can absolutely do that. So definitely come on over and check out the finished projects for this, because I think that there's some pretty inspiring things here. I had some pattern testers work on this, and some of those pattern testers, like Monica, hey Monica, love you so much, you're one of my favorites, worked up the entire blanket, and oh my God, she did a better job than I did. Man, her blanket is fantastic. So thank you, Monica. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is just one example of how you can take this and make it your own using colors that you love. But this is, just kind of scrolling through the different projects that have been posted so far. It'll give you a really good example of how you can use color to match whatever aesthetic you're going for. For example, Monica used, three different colors of yarn is what it looks like, but she used like a white and then a gray ombre and a purple ombre. And I think that's absolutely brilliant. I love that so much. So you can really see those different strips of color and how they they contrast, but it all comes together really nicely. So I thought that was so cool. I really loved that. So good job, Monica. There is also just some, just 2 stripes or 2 different colors used, as we can see here. And you can absolutely do that. You don't have to use 3 different colors. You can just use 2 different colors, and then you're just going to, however you start on one strip, the next strip is going to start with an alternate. And that way it's not going to look, it's really going to break up the color in a way that I think adds more depth and interest to this really simplistic stitch pattern. So there you have it, just a few here. You also, as we can see here with Amanda's project, you don't have to change color if you're using a yarn that is ombre. Now, I'm going to say in my opinion, you're going to have to use an ombre yarn because that's where you're going to see the difference. And that's what we see right here. You see this ombre fade. So you can really tell with the different strips, you're seeing it broken up with those different blocks of color. So if you are going to choose a yarn that has its own color in it. It's not a solid color. Choose a self-striping yarn that has long repeats of color. And that way you're really going to see a very stark difference from one strip of fabric to the next. That's my opinion. But again, if you're trying a different yarn, you just want to see how it works up, definitely start with just one strip because that's going to give you a lot of information. If there's too much color going on in a very small space, then maybe you should break up that variegated yarn with a very short color repeat with a solid or something different. And that way you're really going to see that contrast. And that's what it's that contrast in the colors that takes this simplistic pattern and really, adds so much more depth to it. So that's what you're looking for. That's what you're going to want to do. All right, it looks like Dottie is here. Hey, Dottie, and Joe, and my friend Dawn is here with us too. Thanks everybody for checking in. It's good to see you. It's good to see you here. Thanks for checking in. All right. So let's talk about the construction of this Afghan. I've been into finding different ways to make projects like this, big projects, really accessible. I love making blankets. Blankets are probably one of my favorite things to make, but as we get into the throw size blankets, the larger blankets like this, I find that I love working on a blanket halfway through. I love the first half. And then the second half, like you've got all this bulk that you're working on and just the turning, whether you're working in rows or rounds. I love that process less. I love that less. So I've been trying to get creative about making Afghans that where I'm going to enjoy the entire process. So I played with a few different stitch concepts, and this is a stitch that I've used on a few other projects. So if you followed my work, you're gonna love this. You're gonna recognize this. It's pretty simplistic. It's a two stitch repeat, and it's a one row. That's it. And it creates a really dense fabric. And if you are a kind of person who you want to make crochet blankets, but you don't want them to have all of this open space, you want them to be dense, you want them to create a thick fabric, this is for you. This is a thick fabric. It's also a reversible fabric. So this is going to look the same on either side. So that's kind of a nice feature as well. And every strip, again, I've said this the entire way through, but every single strip of fabric is created independently. So when you create your strip of fabric, whatever length you want it to be, again, follow the pattern exactly, or you can make it longer, you can make it shorter, you can make it any length you want because it's essentially just adding or omitting rows. Um, Once you complete a strip, you fasten that off, you put it off to the side, you start the next strip. So I really loved that process because sometimes I'll just sit and crochet in the same spot, but sometimes I want to move around. Sometimes I'm upstairs, sometimes I'm downstairs, sometimes I'm in bed. Sometimes I want to take a project on the go. So having this particular kind of construction just helped me to work on this project when I wanted to, where I wanted to, and I am making this really big thing, but I'm making it in these smaller steps. And that way it's something I can just kind of throw in a small tote bag and just kind of take with me. I can just, put it in a little basket and kind of tote it around my house. So I really, really enjoyed that aspect. I did not get bored with this. It is such a simple stitch repeat, but it's only so wide and then there's only so many rows, but then you are changing colors every now and then. So I actually found that really fun. My husband and I we were binging, well, we binge a lot of shows together, but I made this during the winter where it's cold and we're inside, so we're watching shows. He's working on a puzzle. So we just kind of had something on for noise that we were binging. And I was really easily able to just go, okay, it's time to change color. What else is going on in our show? Oh, it's time to make another strip. What else is going, my mind wasn't so consumed with counting and things like that. So I find projects like this, these mindless makes, these things that I can participate in the people and things in my life that I like. I mean, I find projects like this really fulfilling and satisfying. And then once all of the pieces of this are done, um, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am not one that likes to weave and sew in ends. That's not at all my favorite. Not my favorite thing. But, but with the right elements, sometimes it's really gratifying. So what I like about this yarn is that it sews down really, really nicely. So I did not mind. I got my metal yarn sewing needle, and yeah, that was a lot of ends to sew in. But what I liked about it was that all of the ends were on the sides, obviously, because you're creating these long strips of fabric. And what I did was I knotted them down. So I knotted each color change twice, and that took out all the slack, and it also helps secure those pieces of yarn into the fabric. And then I made sure that my tail ends were long enough that I could sew them into the fabric. And I love sewing in a zigzag formation. So it's like I'll sew this way and then I'll sew back in the opposite direction. So zigzag, that's what I like to do. And that way the ends are entirely they're now part of the fabric. They're not going to be fraying, they're not going to be coming out. I can put this thing in the washing machine and in the dryer if I really wanted to, and I don't have to worry about those yarn ends. So again, not my favorite. It was a lot of ends, but it was pretty mindless, and this yarn made it easy for me to do that. Not all yarns kind of cooperate with sewing and weaving, but this yarn, it knotted really nicely and it sewed really nicely into the fabric. So it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible. It did what I wanted it to do. And then from there, you're just crocheting all of these strips of fabric together. Um, there are obviously lots of different crocheting techniques. There are lots of different joining methods that you can use. And if you want some resources on those, I have some on the YouTube channel at the American Crochet Association. So I will share those, a few different ways that you can crochet pieces together whenever you're done to create a look that you like. I like this look because there's bulk to it. I like this look because on one side it creates this very specific ridge in that cream color, in this linen color, the Whisper. And I wanted that. I wanted that stark breakup. I tried a few different things on a small scale. I tried sewing the pieces together. I didn't like that. I tried like a mesh kind of combo, like, some slip stitches and chains. Didn't like that. I tried a slip stitch join. Did not like that. So at first I was thinking I wanted something that looked really seamless, and that way it looked like this entire Afghan was crocheted in one piece. But then the more I tried to work with that, I realized that I wanted that stark difference. I wanted there to be this piece of fabric that came up that really showed the difference. I just found it really pleasing. It was my favorite, and it was so quick and easy to work up because I was just, crocheting two pieces of fabric together. So I really enjoyed that. But again, I think that you can further get creative with that if you want. And then again, of course, if you guys have been following me longer than a day, you know that I like tassels. I like to put tassels on things. I find them really fun and interesting. I think they're really cute. And what I did here was I put a big thick tassel. Well, it's actually not very big. It's very thick. It's a big bundle. I put a tassel bundle in between each two joins of strips to kind of further join together each strip, but then also that crochet seam. I wanted all three of those things to come together. And I thought the nicest and the best way to do that was to create that tassel bundle that goes into the fabric, and then with that Whisper color. And then I wrapped it around with that darker golden honey brown color. And I loved those colors so much. So I really wanted to see them as much as possible. So you're going to see this if you follow my blanket exactly. If you make the same thing, you're going to find that these two strips made with this lighter yellow color, that color was used the least amount. And, just because this darker golden honey mustard brown, I don't think that one's the mustard. I think that one's the Arrowwood actually. That's the one that I wanted represented the most. So I love seeing that there. So there you have it, guys. That is the Arrowwood Throw, named for the color of yarn that I liked the most from this project. I absolutely loved using Lion Brand yarn Hue and Me. I've used it many times. I've used it on a few projects in the past. Only a few have been published so far. but I super love it for so many things. It's probably one of my recent favorite yarns. I mean, it's just fantastic. I just ordered some new colors for some more projects, and I'm so excited to get them in because just the different colors, the way they blend together, oh, it's so nice. And again, I think that it creates a perfect fabric for something like a throw. So if you guys are going to consider making this, definitely consider using this yarn. I found it in some of my local yarn shops. My local Joann's, for example, definitely had this yarn, had it in a variety of colors. But I've also seen it in lots of places where I like to shop online. So I found it really easy to find, and I found the price very affordable. So definitely check it out. This gets my recommendation. Okay. All right. Who else is here, and what are you guys saying? Let's see. It looks like Diane is here. Good to see you. Aurora's here. Elaine, hey Elaine, so good to see you. Elaine says, I enjoyed this one so much. I'm so glad that you did. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to have your help. Aurora says, those are the projects I like also, the ones that you can kind of piece together and take with you. And again, just every part of this project, maybe less the actual joining all the pieces together. You know, that's less portable. You know, it depends. Like, am I going to take that to a local crochet along group? No, I'm probably not going to go, oh, all right, guys, this is my project on the go, just because that is a lot of fabric. But this, you know, the sewing down the ends, the creating all of the different strips of fabric. Those things are absolutely things that are very portable, and you know, they don't take up all of your brain power. So I really, really enjoyed that process. This is also an Afghan for all of those reasons. I've only made one of these. I cannot wait to make another one. This is absolutely on the top of my list of Afghans that I will make again, that I will make for other people. I'd make this as a baby blanket. I'd make this as a throw for a, you know, a housewarming party or something like that. So this is absolutely the top of my list for all of those reasons. So I hope you guys dig it too. Terry says hello to everyone. Good to see you here, Terry. Elaine says, I love those colors so much. I wonder which ones, the ones I chose, or all of, I mean, all of the colors that I saw were so nice. Not only in the finished projects, but also in the Hue and Me line. Just absolutely beautiful. Terry says, love the look this throw gives. I'm so glad. There's so many just very simple elements to this. I mean, every part of this is very simplistic. And I love that you can really add you can add your own imagination and creativity in the color application, in the size, in the yarn. I mean, you can really get very creative with this. You know, sometimes it's nice to see something and go, yep, I just want to make that exact thing and I want it to look exactly like that every time. But I've really been enjoying the process of coming up with a design that can really have a lot of flexibility in terms of the color you use, the color application, the yarn weight, the yarn type. So I think this is another example of, you know, a lot of creative liberty. So I hope you guys dig it. Hope you do. Dawn says, I'm working on the granny square vest. You better share some pictures. That was one that, oh man, I thought that was so cute. And well, of course I did. You know, when I made it. Anyway, I'm trying to say when I made it and I put it on, I was like, oh, so cute. I love it so much. So I can't wait to see yours. Definitely share. Rachel says, I finally got to touch that yarn and I love it. I'll have to work with it soon. Yeah, if you guys have not seen Lion Brand Hue and Me yet, if you guys have not seen it in a store, definitely see if you can check it out in person. I mean, to each their own, you know, just because I love something doesn't, you know, you guys may have a different opinion or maybe you guys just like different things. But again, I highly recommend this yarn. I've used so many different yarns. This one is, hold on, it's hard for me to remember everything all the time. This one is 80% manufactured fiber, so acrylic, 20% wool. So, you know, some people got to love hate with acrylic, some people got to love hate with wool. So that's kind of what I mean by definitely check it out, look at it in person, feel it, see what you think. I think it's a really soft yarn. It definitely passes the neck test. It's not rough, it's not scratchy. It looks beautiful, it feels beautiful, and it has this gorgeous weight to it. So it feels really nice. So don't listen to me, just me. Listen to Rachel too. Rachel liked it also. Oh, Debbie Griffiths is here. Hey, Debbie Griffiths. Debbie says, it's absolutely a beautiful design. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Debbie. I'm so glad you think so. All right, and Angelica says, I love this blanket. I like this yarn too. I'm so glad. Um, that makes me happy. I'm glad. It's always nice to create something that other people dig it as well, especially when I've said this. Sometimes I'm not so good with the colors. Sometimes the colors I choose, are not other people's favorite, but I really loved this. This really went with my aesthetic. It went with what I like. But also it was just so nice to see all the different projects that pattern testers and others have made. So hopefully after looking at this, you can really see the potential of making this your own. So if you do snag this blanket and you do work it up, come on over to my community, share every part of the process from what yarn you're going to use to what colors, and just share working this up. It would be really nice to see. And also that's exactly what my community is all about, just us working on the projects from the patterns that I write together and just kind of having support through that process. So keep in touch. All right, that is everyone. I think I said hey to everyone who said hey. So it was nice to kind of make this a nice little fun conversation. I did not want to skip out on telling you all about this new design, why I made it, why it's special, how you guys can approach it. So again, if you're watching this on the replay, I've got the link to this pattern in the video description. So definitely click on over and check it out. And if you're not in my group, come on over and join group Selena Baca Crochet. I'd love to see your Selena Baca pattern makes. It would be so fun to see, especially with this blanket. And if you guys have any questions, comments, feedback, just let me know in the comments or send me an email. My email is on every pattern I write, so you can just reach out to me there. All right, everybody, that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks so much for listening to everything that I thought was new, hip, and happening with the Arrowwood Throw. I hope you guys love it too. Can't wait to see yours. Peace, bye.